Hello, welcome back to day 8. We are moving through this course quite quickly. Surprised we're already at day 8. But how's everyone doing? I just want to do a quick check-in. And on this check-in, I wanted to, how is your awakening to greatness meter? You know, where are we at on a scale of 1 to 10? I encourage you or I invite you to partake in this. Where are we at on our greatness meter on a scale of 1 to 10 of, yes, I can actually see now where some of my limits are. I can agree I need to make some adjustments. Some shifts need to be changed. I want to overcome my fear. And I agree. I want to start stepping into a greater sense of self. So 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. Write down in the comments right now, as we start this video, no need for an explanation. Just write your number. Claim it, state it, become it. If it's a 10, fuck yeah, that means you're ready to step in. If it's still the 1 to 5, that's okay. We're still starting to peel back the layers. We're still starting to crack open. If you're connecting to anything through these 8 days, it doesn't have to be every single day that you connect to and say, oh yeah, this is me. Oh yeah, I need that. It may be 2 or 3 those days, and maybe just 1 day. Maybe one thing is keeping you from stepping forward, and that can be worked on. That can be changed. That can be shifted. But anyways, our greatness meter, how are we at? 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. Who is ready? Who is ready to step into greatness? Who's ready to claim their stake in who they want to become? But also, I also encourage you to, along with your number, right? Again, your number doesn't have to come with any reasoning or anything else, but along with your number, if you had to pick 1 day so far, 1 day up to this point, which you feel, you know what? I really want to start making some shifts right away to see change on this topic. State which day that is. Is it understanding our present state? Is it overcoming our stories? Is it connecting to our passions? Is it finding out what we're obsessed about and not just having a dream? So in the comments right below, state those in. Let's start claiming it. Let's start becoming it. We're going to start connecting and seeing who else is on the same page. And when we can do that, we can start saying, wow, we have a community of people. We can come together and start working on those things together. And that's going to be actually something I'm going to introduce beyond the workshop. But let's jump into day 8. Remember, take those 3 deep breaths, clear the day away, settle into your body, get present, get connected. Let's dive in. And day 8 is ownership of the mind. I've mentioned a few things earlier along this course about how we're going to overcome the mind. Mastering thought is mastering our life, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Is to have ownership of your mind. To own the mind, you must master your thoughts, and to be able to master your thoughts helps us so we don't steer ourselves off course. It keeps the voices in our head, or those voices of the mind, kind of at bay. There's no one free from those voices in the head. We all have them. And the thing is, the issue between the voices that you're hearing and you as a person, as a being, is that a lot of times you associate yourself with those voices that you're hearing. And you associate those voices to you being that voice, and that's who you are, because it sounds like us. We think that's us talking to ourselves. But this voice, though, I want to, here's some more challenge. This voice is a conditioned mind. It's that programmed mind from the past. These thoughts and voices more often are coming from a place of worry, of fear, of lack. Remember, I had stated earlier that 80 to 90% of those thoughts that we're having today are recycled from yesterday. And they're thoughts that are taking place when you aren't in control, and when you aren't directing your thoughts, when you're not taking ownership of the mind. And when we live in this type of way, when we have this type of mind or these type of thoughts that are not directed by us, they come from a past self, a past ego, they tend to be more negative. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not saying that they're all negative, but more often than not, they are limiting thoughts, they're limiting beliefs, they're distracting us from where we want to be. And these negative thoughts, this directed mind in negativity, leads us to more pessimistic style of thinking. But if we can reframe that and we can rewrite that and we can reprogram that or unwire that, we can create a more positively directed mind, which is going to lead us to more optimism, to more optimistic behaviors, to more optimistic choices and ideals of ourselves. And this overly negative thinking mind really can cause us a lot of chaos. If it's not already caused you chaos, if it's not already caused you doubt or pain or suffering, it will if you don't take control of it. This type of mind sets in the limits. It creates the worry and the fear and so on and so on and so forth. The hard part is we think these voices are our voice. So we allow them to run free. We allow them to take up space, again, rent free within our mind and within our being. And I'm going to insert a shameless plug, and it has nothing to do with me, but insert meditation into this realm of being able to quiet the mind. And meditation is just one of the huge bonuses or huge catalysts to quiet the mind. And finding a quiet mind is just a huge bonus of meditation. The funny thing about meditation is so many people share with me, or I hear them say, you know, that they've tried meditation. I've done it before, but I can't get my mind to stop, so I can't meditate. Meditation's not for me. Yeah, well, I've been meditating now 2.5 years, and I'm still learning. I'm still getting over the mind. I still have the ruminating thoughts. I still have monkey mind. But I want to ask you this, if you're one of those people that have said to yourself, or you speak these words, again, we've talked about our words, oh, I can't do it. Oh, it's not for me. Oh, I can't get my mind to stop. You're empowering that idea. But let me ask you this. If I gave you a unicycle right now, could you ride that unicycle? If I put you in the cockpit of a plane, could you fly that plane right now? If I handed you a pogo stick, could you just jump on it and start hopping all over town, do backflips? No problem, you wouldn't fall? Or would you need to take some practice? Would you need to commit yourself, direct some focus, give some dedication, and possibly give yourself a goal to be able to make those things a reality for yourself? I'm going to say the answer is probably yes. All right, great. I've stated the obvious. You know, I also have to remind myself to quiet my mind, to say, hey, you're all over the place. Be quiet. Actually, can you just be quiet right now? And I really do this in my meditations. Now, through doing this, I've actually had this aha moment for myself to give myself some slack on meditating. You know, I finally started really meditating, like I said, 2.5 years ago, and I still have this monkey mind going on. Remember that you live in a world with endless barrages of constant, overwhelming, forceful, invasive stimuli, always in your face, always coming through your eyes, daily, from your phone to media to news, songs, magazines, you name it, your kids, your family, your job. Your mind is always being flooded with images and thoughts and ideas and words. And when you finally stop to take a moment to meditate, you are still processing all of that. So this aha moment for me was I've tried to compare myself to yogis, you know, Indian yogis or Buddhist monks that I know that they can meditate. It's like this comparison to an elite being that I am not, where those Indian yogis, and these Buddhist monks, they live in a world, they put themselves in a world where they are not continuously barraged with all this crap that we have going on. they don't get distracted as much as we do. They don't succumb to the pressure of all of this forceful information. So for us, it's going to be harder. You have to realize it's just going to be a bit harder, especially when you get started, but just keep practicing. Through mastering the mind, meditating is going to help you start to become that master of your mind, but it's also going to help you slow down your thoughts. It's going to help you control your thoughts. And most importantly, it's going to help you direct and be focused with your thoughts. So when we start to take back control of this mind, and we start to claim the navigation, or take, like I said, the control of how the thoughts come in, not only how they come in, but where they go once they're in this bowling ball. When we can do that, we start to gain control, and we start to free ourselves of those talking voices, of all that chatter. It doesn't mean that they're gone forever, but you start to free yourselves of their control into mastering the mind. Now, the idea here is, it's similar to the day when we talked about our perspective and how we need to shift our perspective, and we need to claim our perspective. And I shared that in that day, I shared that you are not your emotions. The events in life that happen don't happen to you, they happen through you. Now, the same concept is here when we want to master the mind. You are not your thoughts. They are not who you are. And in saying that, think about it this way. Let's say you were sitting next to two friends having a debate over politics or religion or something that they're just not agreeing on. You as a listener are not that conversation. You are not those words. You are not those emotions. You are just listening in. And so you can take an active participation through those thoughts happening in your head, and you can become a third party listener or viewer, voyeur, if you would. And you can listen into your thoughts as a third party, like you are tuning in a radio station, like choosing what you want to dial into. That's going to be a lot of control and a lot of power that you can start to bring into yourself, because those ridiculously overthinking, worrisome, rehashing thoughts can start to be tamed. They can start to be controlled and owned within your mind through meditation. When you're able to tame that voice, that chitter chatter that's running thoughts through your mind, the more you can start to tame that, the more you become totally aware of who you are right now in the present moment, right here and right now. I don't expect you to be able to do this overnight, not even in the next 2 months, but it's active participation in the desire to want that. No success comes overnight. Mastering your mind's not going to happen overnight. But if you choose to want to step into a greater sense of self, if you choose to want to overcome your fears, if you choose to want more for yourself, to find your authenticity, to discover your purpose, to discover your fearless greatness, you have to want to participate in the practice, in the process, in the commitment that it's going to take the action to do so. The more we can get ourselves to be right here, right now, in this moment, not back there in the past and not over there in the future, the less we allow old programming from judging our present moment, which when we do that, it's totally based on what we experienced in the past. If you think about that, all your past that you allow into your future, into your present, is just you judging you right now. It's just you totally judging yourself based off something you've experienced in your past. And I mentioned yesterday, in detaching from our stories, detaching from our certainty, we start to actually open up ourselves to this whole newness of life, this whole new idea of experiences and opportunities that are welcomed into our life when we can detach from those things. Now, the key to understanding the mind is in knowing how it works and its purpose. And to master the mind, we have to know the mind. We have to connect to the mind. Now, I want to share with you, and you may disagree, but hear me out. Let me explain through the rest of this video. The mind is set up for negativity. It's just set up for negativity. It's only seeking to keep you alive and get you ahead. We see things through a negative lens when we don't have control of the ego mind or the past mind or the fearful mind. The mind is always going to be set up to like be in worrisome, fight or flight type mode. We have to actively participate in choosing to see things through a lens of positivity, through love, through kindness, through compassion, through harmony, through forgiveness. Every day you have to choose that mindset. You know what I noticed when this started to really take place within me? What I started to notice is when I used to consume social media rather than create content, when I would even sometimes I catch myself still doing it. If I'm flipping through or flicking through social media, I tend to find myself skipping over the very simple positive messages or videos, and I would find myself watching the videos where people like hurt themselves or got made, or were an example on media or had found themselves in like negative situations with either politics or police or, this is me speaking for me. And I found myself like, wow, I'm flipping right past the things that I have to read and connect to bring positivity into my life, to just watch these negative set up videos that help me suppress the work that it takes to be more positive. So you actually have to want to be positive. Now, the mind comes from a state of Neanderthal, when millions of years ago, or where our mind started to evolve and become the mind that we have. We were always living in a state of fight or flight. We were living in a state where saber-toothed tigers and woolly mammoths and pterodactyls and like cavemen were literally worried about their life, worried if they were going to be able to eat, worried if they were going to stay warm, worried about if they were going to be killed. We still have part of that trigger in our mind that doesn't even serve us in this day and age, yet we still think that way. That mind is still active. It's still living and participating every day. This type of thinking, this type of mindset of fight or flight, worry, fear, stress, sets us up for something called the default mode. It's called the default mode network that's set up in our brain. And when we're in the default mode network within our brain, it's constantly running in fight or flight. It's constantly consuming energy and draining us. This sequence we get into, we don't even realize that we're in it. It's just happening because it's something that just takes precedence. It's something that just we become used to, and we allow it to just be there. And here's the scary part, and this is what I challenge you to really start focusing in on this negativity, is when you're in that default mode, your brain is running 80% of your energy when you aren't even doing anything, just sitting down. If you are sitting down, watching a movie, watching a show, listening to something that's negative, and it's not creating positive influence in your life, you are consuming 80% of your energy just by sitting down. Because that's how the brain is dissipating or dissolving your ability to create, or your ability to become or invoke or claim what you deserve, because it's just being suppressed into this default mode network. Now, I have some other really cool things about the brain and the mind and how it works. through stuff that I've been reading and studying, but I'm not going to go too deep into it here. Leave that for other workshops or one-on-one stuff. But I'm just laying the foundation so you can understand where the brain is and why it acts the way it acts to keep you from moving forward. Instead, it keeps you from your future pushed into you and your present pulling back on you. So you have these two types of gravity dragging you this way and not allowing you to move forward. We have to understand where those things come from to learn to break those ties, to unwire that programming, to deprogram so we can reprogram. The neurons in our brain are waiting for us to activate them in a sense of action. Let's go. Let's make some shit real. We have to learn to master the mind through the actions that we take and through the habits that we create, the words that we speak, the agreements and beliefs that we carry, the emotions we feel of ourselves. Those are going to take precedent in the mind and empower the mind to become masters. That's how we master the mind. The mind can be our adversary, but it also can be our advocate. It's in what you choose. So I want to wrap up day 8 in mastering the thought, mastering our mind, mastering our life. And I want to frame this up for an exercise or activity. And I want to say that when we allow those voices, going back to those voices, when we allow those voices to take the controls of how we think, how we view life, how we take our actions, and how we create our world, we are giving the power to lower levels of ourself, to lower vibration, to lower levels of our being. We are allowing those voices to be the master of who we are. The ultimate inner power that you can actually harness within yourself is in being able to separate yourself from your thoughts. Like I said, you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, and you are not your actual physical states. Those things aren't taking you, and if you're acting in lower levels, those things aren't taking you and making you live in your life of greatness, into your biggest self. They're not allowing you to invoke a reality because they're suppressing those things. They're those acts of gravity pulling you or pushing you into lower states. But when we start to want to act, to invoke, and we start to really frame up, taking notes, realizing, understanding, and connecting, when we do this, we can gain control of ourselves again. So this activity that I want to share, this exercise, is something that you can put into your everyday life every single day. And it might help if you even just start with doing it while you meditate. It could happen when you're journaling, actually. Could happen while you're sitting here in one of these videos and your brain's like, go do this, fuck this dude. He doesn't know what he's talking about. We've heard all this before. Go do this, like bullshit. That's the chatter. That's the things wanting to suppress you and keep you down and keep you held back. That's the stuff you need to rewrite. Now this activity is, it's funny. It's a funny one at first. And it actually is going to sound a bit silly, but don't let the simplicity of this tool fool you. And I actually use this in my meditations, and I use it quite often, to be honest, and I use it at other times in my life. But when my monkey mind, when my ruminating thoughts and voices, when they won't stop, I use this activity. So when you start to find that voice showing up and it's not speaking to you in a positive sense or in a positive space, and it's not encouraging you to a greater feeling or emotion or a greater sense of being, you literally need to call out to that voice, no, shut up, be quiet, no, quiet. I like no quiet because shut up is a bit harsh, but I literally will tell it, no, quiet, be quiet. The idea is to put your thoughts in check, to treat them as this inner termite that's eating up your energy. I mean, you can even use things like, no, thank you. Sometimes I change it up with, I don't have time for you right now. Like, okay, I hear you, but goodbye, you aren't helping me. Like I literally will say that. And sometimes in meditation, I'll say it out loud. But the idea is that you are making in that moment a powerful proclamation towards these voices. You as a being, as a conscious decision maker, you are not allowing them to be the controller, and you are saying, I'm in control. You are making a proclamation towards these voices that have for so long held such a strong place in your life for so long that you were saying, no, I'm in control. This is my time. Now, what might help in doing this is to actually keep your journal without you throughout your day. Keep it somewhere near you. Keep it somewhere where you can get to it quickly. And make note when you start to hear these voices pop up in your head throughout your day, and when they're starting to kick in, and when these voices show up. Start journaling a log of when these triggers start to pop up. Start to realize when they show up and what's happening in your life. What are you feeling? What actions are you having in your life? To see when, oh, this is what's triggering them to show up for me. This is where my past is coming in to just limit me. And realize the more you silence them, this annoying, pestering voice, the less control and power it has on the presence of your life. And I want to share, as we close up day 8, I want to share this Buddhist analogy of these voices. These voices have been within us for so long. They've resided in us. They've set up roots within us. They have such strong roots that when the triggers happen, it creates growth. So they rise up and they come and meet us, whatever they are, however they are, they're there. And they show up because they think that's the water to their life. But the more we cut them off, the more we snip them, the more we tell them no quiet, no thank you, I don't need you, you're not helping me. No, the less and less strength that seed has to grow. And it's not going to happen and change the first time. You gotta, again, the commitment. Are you committed to the change? The more you start snipping that bud, snipping that bud, snipping that bud, the less and less that seed has strength to grow, and the less and less that seed will show up. But you have to take action to kill that weed that's coming up and causing you pain. We have to break the patterns that have been holding you back and create new, stronger beliefs that are going to take you to where you want to be. No, be quiet. No, thank you. I don't need you here right now. Sorry, you're not helping me. Please, you can go now. Whatever you choose some power statements that you're going to use in those moments. Think of it as you like being the Hulk, like that ground pound. No, thank you. You don't have power over me. I have the choice. Take back the power. Start becoming a master of the mind. Do not allow your thoughts to be who you think you are, and be the thoughts that you want to create. Start to master the mind so you can master your life. Take care. Love y'all. Enjoy day 8.